Hello everybody, welcome to the video, and in today's video I'm going to talk about anti-popularity. Basically what anti-popularity is, there's a difference between being less popular and being anti-popular. Being less popular means you just got less popular. Being anti-popular means you're intentionally trying to be less popular, or trying to get something to be less popular. Okay? That's what it means. Something or someone trying to make something, someone, or themselves less popular. It's not that exactly hard to explain. But basically, on the internet, anti-populism is all over, okay? The internet is too niche now. Yes, there's always, gonna be niche communities even prior to the internet and long after the internet is gone. But, for its own good, there are just some middle grounds that just need to stay, in the mainstream popular, for all demographics. Okay, I'm not saying, oh, you need to make a movie that appeals to everyone. No, more of just something or someone that people can go, oh yeah, I'm familiar with it. Even if they don't know anything about it, they're like, oh yeah, I'm familiar with it. You know what I mean? Regardless of language, accent, dialect, where the region of a country they might be in, or the country they might be in general, or the continent, or say, cultural standards, societal standards, whatever, many other things such as food, ways of thinking, if you believe in individualism or not, what your politics may be, if you're into that kind of thing, what your sports or religions may be. Just everything is everything. But the thing is about the internet is we live in a time where it's the most united and divided the world has ever been. It's the most divided because it's too niche, but it's the most united because it's too niche. Very, basically when I mean niche is just something that's not popular. So basically it's becoming common to basically judge something off of its popularity, meaning the less popular it is, the more they'll want it. In other words, they're still judging based off of what's popular, but they're doing it in a way where it's less, okay? So the least popular for them is the most popular. That's why you see a bunch of industry plants or whatever come out of nowhere and then just die like the piece of dust in the wind like that. Because they reach their tipping point, and then once they reach their tipping point, whatever their tipping point may be, even if it takes years or decades, the second they get there, gone, dead. Ever since that happened with the internet, that's how it's been. And yes, the internet has been around for that long to say that. It's just we're in a time where we're starting to become aware of it. So, yeah. And it's a pretty big deal because, well, if I'm being honest, it does unite people in a way where it's oh, I can start understanding your culture or my culture, instead of knowing this or that. Or your my culture, your culture, everybody's culture, I guess, or no culture. I think. But I don't know. There isn't really, when it comes to humans anyway, there isn't really such a thing as no culture. I mean, you can say it, but it doesn't mean it's true, that kind of thing. But that's not what this video is for. It's more of basically, if I were to explain it in basic terms, It's a David looking for a Goliath. Okay? That's basically what the internet is now. All the niche communities and side communities and niche side communities within niche side communities are just a bunch of Davids looking for a Goliath, mistaking other Davids as a Goliath. In other words, it's solutions looking for a problem. Okay? They're not a true solution, but they act like one, so that way when a problem does come up that requires their solutions, supposedly, it probably ain't gonna fix the issue. Like, for example, if I were to say, here's this thing that takes away, I don't know, your right to freedom of speech, like say, oh, you can't say these certain amount of slurs or something. You can't say these bad words ever, and nobody likes it, but then some situation happens where it's like, oh my god, some big situation. Oh no, this situation happened. And then, that goes under that category, and then, oh my god, we gotta do this now, and then all of a sudden your rights get taken away because, well, if something crazy happens just enough, as long as it's on their side, whoever side it's on, it doesn't actually matter which side you're on, your side, my side, whatever side, politically, religiously, whatever. When you do that, basically, as long as it's the side you personally agree with, all of a sudden, once that happens, you can make people like you or I or somebody else basically justify anything as long as it's their side doing it. And that's what's happening a lot on the internet because of how niche it is. How specific it is. That's why it's very common to see people who have a little teensy deensy disagreement, or sometimes even do agree, but because, oh, you're the one who's agreeing, not of my specific demographic, or you are my specific demographic, therefore you're not me, so because you're not me, you must be evil. Like, you're getting a lot of those folks, you're getting a lot of those kind of people when you have it niche. Like for example, Michael Jackson, the singer, he was a middle ground man, meaning like when people talked about him, they understood the reference, It isn't like today where you could say something like I don't know, Wednesday Addams, it's such a good show, or whatever. But the thing is you'd have to know what that is in order to like it or don't like it. And so there are just some people who don't even know what it is and have an opinion anyway because, well, they expect people to just know their niche community because there's nothing popular anymore. Nothing is truly popular. And so because there's nothing truly popular, let's say there's a video on YouTube, for example, like on this platform that you're watching this on, and there's some YouTube video that has like, I don't know, billions of views or something, things like that. You could say, hey, don't you know that Baby Shark song or something? Don't you know that song? Isn't that song good? And I could look at you and go, I have no idea what you're talking about. Like that's what can happen, even if it gets like a lot of views, stuff like that. I still might not know it because like I said throughout this video, everything is so niche now. Even the things you would think wouldn't be niche are niche. Like for example, geography. For some reason, geography is a very, very niche group. Now, don't get me wrong. There are some people who are very mainstream into geography, but the thing is it's usually in relation to other stuff that is already known, But even then, it's like different communities and different peoples and things like that aren't getting along like they used to, you know? Some of them never did, but regardless, it's causing more issues than it's solving, is what I'm saying. And so, until the algorithm decides to have some sort of universal, like, algorithm button you can have for everyone to be on, where they can all see the same thing, you know? Like a default algorithm where based off of what you like, they'll make it in that way where like everybody goes into like the same box, you know? That kind of thing. And yeah, I don't know what else to say either than it's just the way the algorithm is, man. In fact, there are certain demographics that will never see a video like this. Not just the specific video, but any of this category at all, ever. Because, well, the algorithm is not kind to videos like this. And I'm not necessarily saying my video specifically. Now, that'd be kind of good for me, but I just mean like videos that talk about anti popularity or videos that are related to the subject of, well, like I said earlier in this video, David's trying to find their Goliath. And if you don't know what I'm talking about with David's and their Goliath, well, if you're not Christian or if you're just somebody who's just not like completely remembering the story, I'm not a Christian either. I just remember it because I used to be one. And I still very remember it. Basically, a long time ago, a guy named David was out there in the middle of some like war that was going on, and he had like some slingshot or something. And basically, there was this 9-foot giant, which in today's numbers would be like 12, 13-foot guy. And he wasn't like any like super duper giant guy. He was just like really tall guy who was like very physically fit and was a giant nasty warrior or something like that. And this brother David hit Goliath in the head, in the like the middle of the forehead, and it like killed him or whatever. And like God was like, well, you accomplished the land of the people or whatever. And then he became like king or something like that. If you want to look into it, you can go look into it. Just search up David and Goliath. So that's all I gotta say. Anyway, I don't know why it's gotten so niche with these algorithms, dude. Like they need to just have at least default algorithm, you know? Like if the video goes if the content there like you recommending them seems like a bit too extreme or something, just slowly default to regular algorithm, you know? Like that kind of thing. That's what it should be, you know? There should be a standard for all platforms, but there's not. And that standard being the most neutral one, you know? The most neutral and peaceful and respectful version, you know, whatever that may be worldwide, you know, in a general sense. So it may not necessarily apply to your country or your area majority wise, but it may, you know, say as like, as in the whole planet, as in just like a general, it's kind of like international law where there's only things you can really do internationally and can't do internationally, but it's for like if for example if the whole world was like one country kind of situation, so it's just like a any demographic could appeal to that kind of stuff, kind of things, or most demographics in the world that use the internet is what I'm trying to say. Because, no, not all demographics use the internet. But still. For the ones who do, it should appeal to those people. It should appeal to the people who actually use the internet, regardless of their age, gender, sexual identity, religion, political belief, or even what sport they're into and what kind of sport. Things like that, or whatever, like fashion, food, whatever the hell. And many, many more things. Anyway, I'm going to end this video. And like I said earlier in this video will most likely never get seen by certain demographics. Well, even if they are online, ever. But yeah, that's it. All I gotta say for this video. And yeah, have a nice day. And just remember, stay ugly.